So this is the 1010 mirror flip on a 420 late night red eye flight on the 747 on the LAX on the turnaround. So that giving people a chance to get in here. Got a couple things I want to go over. So, how y'all doing? I'm trying to get people a chance to come in. We got some stuff to talk about today. I've been on sabbatical after we went to Florida, and I just been transmuting energy and listening for the universe to talk to me. So today, I was told to get up. I went down to my meditation spot, and I started seeing all these signs. I seen a blue jay at the meditation spot. I had 7 Canadian geese, 2 swans, right? And then it was these little birds called a swift, and they kept flying right in front of my face. So I'm trying to read what the universe is saying so I can translate it. And the things that I was downloading was tied to Malachi York situation. The Malachi situation is a unique situation. I read to the people with the Empress the order that was given by a competent judge to enforce the diplomatic status of Malachi. And when I read that into the public to let the people know what's going on, I was watching the Nuwaubians, the Sabians, the old Ansars, how they moving. And the infiltration of black devils, as Dr. York called them, is so organized. And Malachi not in there for what they say he in there for. He in there because of flat out betrayal. And so while I'm watching, seeing how everything is unfolding, I keep telling people it's not about money. Money not the issue. We're getting any other chiefs that's been held in captivity out. The only remedy is sovereign jurisdiction, not nationality. A sovereign overrides nationality. A sovereign dictate to nations what they gonna do. So it's not about nationality, it's about sovereign jurisdiction. It's about organizing we the people to understand what's taking place across tribes on the land in the face of a common enemy. I never seen anything like this phenomenon. When I was first told to look at it, they said that the infiltrators was more organized than the FBI and the CIA. And I'm like, that's some organized ass shit. Excuse my language. I'm going to try to hold my profanity down for this particular one. So, as we make our steps to regain our sovereign jurisdiction and our tribal right to govern this land, This is an ongoing process. Everybody want a fast food, pop it in the oven, microwave fix. That doesn't exist in reality. That's the conditioning of the fast food culture. The transfer of power from one group of people to another group of people is a process. And process has been dragging on for 5 years now. And now we are closing in on where they ain't gonna be forced to release the chiefs to allow them to address their tribes. It's chiefs y'all don't know about that's been held in captivity. We know about the ones who are higher ranking, like Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, Chief Malik Angel Bay. We know about Big Tookie. We know them names because those are urban legends that's larger than life. So when you look at the infiltration that the Panthers went through, you go back to the FBI snitch program. All this is stuff that's already in my Instagram. As you scroll closer to the bottom, a lot of this information will come up. But as you go through the COINTELPRO operations, we got to out-strategize these people. Go back to what Martin said. He said, build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. He say, we are out-organized more than anything else. What did Malcolm say? Malcolm said they will use the media to make the good guy look like the bad guy and convince the public to demand the lynching and demand the blood of a righteous man by media influence. We looking at this stuff. Y'all looking at stuff, but y'all ain't paying attention. See, I've been telling people for years now, Diddy job was Clive Davis. That was his job. The chain reaction is what you looking for. Because Diddy get investigated, and now Clive is in peril. The same motherfucker put the hit on Whitney. Same one put the hit on Bobby Christina. He the same one owned the Face Records. Same one owned Bad Boy. Same one owned So Def. He the same one that slid up under Aretha Franklin. He the same one slid up under Phyllis Hyman. And dog handled these people. And think that judgment ain't coming for his head. The chain reaction, it's going to blow y'all mind when y'all find out who the facilitators are. See, they think they can move to places like Mexico and escape the wrath of this beast. The beast is purging itself. He's going through a catharsis. And the beast is the legal fiction that you call the U.S. corporation or the United States government. The catharsis is they can't give it back to us until they get done rounding them up. So while we looking at what's going on, remember the chain reaction. One thing leads to another thing that leads to another thing. Malachi said, getting me out of prison is like unlocking a combination lock. The problem is not to get him out of prison. The problem is to get him home safe and secure. We can't trust the way that his clan moving to send him directly back. So we're going to have to do what the tribes call bridging the clans. So you're going to have to find a clan with the security capabilities to protect him when he come out of there, and to give him the opportunity to clean his house up before they allowed to run rampant over him. It's not about money. Not gonna get Malachi out. People keep trying to raise money to get him out. Let them raise money. They raising it for themselves. This is about jurisdictional supremacy. It's about the right of the people from the land to exercise their jurisdictional supremacy as the sovereign heirs to the Americas, to demand that we see our chiefs and let the chiefs give the reports to the people as they supposed to by tribal right, by tribal authority. They gonna tell you everything that I've been telling you, but they gonna tell it to you according to how they talk to the individual tribe. For example, Angel Bay might not call them dirty Moors, he might call them infiltrators. And he know who they is. See, when you fighting a war, you have to know the different strategies that you face with. When we look in the history books, that's what you call a frame of reference that allows you to look at a problem from a different perspective. You got to look at it from as many angles as possible before you determine the right direction to move in, because it'll reveal itself. Remember, the solution is always inside of the problem. So when you're reviewing the problem, you are continuously mulling over the solution. And as you continue to mull over the solution, it's going to become self-evident. It's going to appear on its own. This is the higher learning that you have to train yourself to do. Keep going over the problem until you can find the solution, because the solution is in the problem, right? It's about looking at the law of opposites, the law of correspondence, the law of cause and effect. You have to look at these things in order to look at it from so many different angles that you can't be duped. The saddest thing in the whole struggle right now is you have people that are related to a person that's done work, massive amounts of work, and earned everything they got, and feel like because they related that the person that earned it should finance their whole life just because they related. That is the most selfish, self-centered, egotistical, sociopathical, narcissistic manner of thinking. Entitlement by relation. Just because you have the title of prince don't mean you're going to be a king. You might not earn your right to sit on the throne as the king. So you just going to live your life and you're going to be 90 years old and they still going to be calling you Prince Charming. Because you don't want to do the self-work required to exercise your blood right to secure your kingdom and your king seat. So you feel because you related to the one who did the work that by proxy that they work should be attributed to you. It don't work like that. That's why many are called and few are chosen, because don't nobody want to do this hard ass work. Don't nobody want to do the heavy lifting. Don't nobody want to grab the bear knowing that he might not survive. They all want to play it safe. They want to fly under the radar. They don't want to ruffle no feathers. They don't want to step on no toes. And what happened? They end up with a brown nose. They end up being subjugated They end up being a willing participant in their own subjugation and oppression. You can't break nobody like that free. The only person you can help get free is the one who value freedom more than they value servitude and bondage. But the ones who want to go along to get along, they make it hard for the ones that's putting in the work to get us all to the place where we can be able to be rightfully compensated for the work that we do. All this knowledge I be giving y'all, I was already paid for. I keep telling people, my sister and brother paid for it. That's why I give it away for free. Right? Why I don't do arguments and debates? Because what's the first thing that somebody say in a debate? What's your source? What's your source? So now I'm arguing somebody else's opinion as if it's fact. So I'm going to use somebody else's opinion to validate my perception. They're not more valid to me than I am to me. Look, look at the literacy rate for the last 200 years around the world. Then look at who was allowed to learn before the advent of the slave system that accidentally gave more people knowledge than ever before, trying to keep them oppressed. You reverse educate them to make them put themselves in bondage. But the literacy rate in the 1800s, who is these people that's writing this paperwork? They all in secret societies because the only people that was learning to read and write was the ones who was a member of a brotherhood, of a guild. Reading and writing is not commonplace in the historical narrative as people would like to believe. The majority of people could not read or write. So when you have slaves writing these narratives in perfect King's English, Queen's English, or whoever the hell English it is, who taught them how to read? I thought it was punishment by death if you caught one of us reading and writing, but you got these people writing these slave narratives. They writing receipts for ships, right? Who is writing these receipts? They was in a brotherhood. All of them is part of a secret society agenda, right? So they got manifest what language they wrote in, right? They telling us that these places, these ports on the west coast of Africa is where they was shipping the slaves off. Go look at them. There's cannons facing the water. The cannons is not facing inland. The cannons are facing the water. Think about that. You got foreigners invading the continent to get slaves, but the cannons is facing the water. Do you believe everything these people tell you? If the cannons is facing the water, the threat wasn't coming from the land. That means that whoever structures those was defending them against somebody that was coming on the water. Same with Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, Pirates of the Caribbean, was the storehouse of conquistadors' wealth. As they pillaged the lands north and south, they stored their wealth under what they call the Code of Thieves, where you allowed to establish a safe haven for criminals under the Code of Thieves. Most of us don't know that it was really something called a Code of Thieves. And these were the blueprints for the money magic. Because They tell us there's no honor among thieves, but they follow a strict set of rules. They follow guidelines in order that one thief don't steal another thief's proceeds, right? Why are they thieves in the first place? Because they want what somebody else got without putting in the work. This is where we at. This is what we facing right now. We facing a group of infiltrators who want what another man worked for, willing to kill him for it, rather than let him retire on the fruits of his own labor. And now, here I am. I'm one of Larry boys. I'm coming from Hoover. My chief, Larry Hoover, is sitting in the same place as Dr. Malachi, the Nuwaubian chief. Right? The same place my kindred chief, Chief Malik Angel Bay, who is the chief from my hometown from the other side of the family tree. He out the red. It's in the same place as Malachi. Right? Another chief sit here and watch this farce of a trial. Imam Abu Jamal Al-Amin. Y'all know him in the history books as H. Rap Brown. Same place. The U.S. government, the largest drug dealing organization that has ever been caught red-handed, when it involves the President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan, the Vice President of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, and members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but the one who led it was Oliver North. They the biggest drug dealing organization that has ever been caught red-handed. They were selling drugs in America. They was buying guns from the military in America. And they was selling these guns and small munitions to the enemy in violation of the Trading with the Enemy Act and got caught red-handed. They was trading the guns to Iran as the compensation for the Iran hostage crisis that didn't even take place in Iran. Let that sink in. That plane was never in Iran during the Iran hostage crisis. They was on a military base in Arizona the whole time in order to create this construct that the citizens of an American flight was captured by the Iranian government, the Persians, in history, who was the founders of ancient Babylon, who began a breeding programs at the base of the Mount Sinai. The Mount Sinai is Sin, which is the god Niddersin. And Ai is the way that you say a mountain or a hill, a large hill, a mountain. And Sinai became known as Zion. Before it was Zion, between Zion and Sinai, it was the Sion. Watch the letters and the flips of the S's and the Z's. Right? Now, these same people still here running the same scam being exposed. Right? And they calling themselves Zionist Jews. And they over there, they financed and created Hamas as the Mossad operation. The same way that the United States, under the orders of Barack Obama, created this entity called ISIL that became known to the broadcasters of the news media as ISIS. And that was a direct attack to the rise and return of the matriarchy, because now they have to dirty up the name of the divine feminine, the great mother, or Set. We call it Isis in English. And this is the same that it is in Greek. But they told you it was Jesus. But the J 500 years old, and the Greek is 2,000 years old. So 1,500 years before there was ever a J, they was using the I, but in order to confuse you, they made you become fishers of men looking for a woman. The whole time they told you to your face, behind your back. The reason why they made the J is to confuse the language. They find both sides from Switzerland. They all been rounded up. A lot of people late as hell. They all been rounded up. They didn't round them up in Switzerland. They didn't rounded all of the royals up. The royals had surrendered their royals to a guy named J.F. Kalunji Jr. For those who don't know who that is, that's John F. Kennedy Jr. The Kalunji name comes off of his association with the Onassis family, who gave him the name Kalunji when he hid him out and rescued him from the assassination. But we don't know nothing about that stuff because we don't know what these people doing, even though they telling us, right? So straighten out the J. The backwards J is the letter Lam. And the letter Lam stands for the word lo, which takes us from Malachi in reverse engineering back to the prophecy of Elijah in the book of Lam, back to the book of Malachi, right? So they played us like a Stradivarius. It's really pronounced Stradivarius, but it just sounded funnier to say Stradivarius. Anyway, let me go on my corny humor. So we have to reorganize. We have to get a tribe that had already been purged of the infiltrators, right? And this tribe got to be able to secure high-level dignitaries. I got a tribe in mind, right? But that's the St. Louis knock, right? Red House, a flag maker. So when we look at these circumstances, when we're looking at trying to help somebody, you can't help a person when the help is going to put them in the worst circumstance, situation, or condition than they currently in, right? You have to find a way. If you're going to be helpful, help all of the way. Don't just help some of the way. Don't tell me you're going to help me and then leave me stranded. If you're going to help me the whole way through. But most people can't endure to the end, and that's why those who endure to the end receive the crown of life, because this is not for the weak at heart. This is some heart-wrenching information to review when you can't send a man home because you got people in his family that wish ill on him because they feel like they entitled to what he built up with his empire, how he built his community. They want him to disregard who he chose to give his stuff to and give it to them because they related. It's hot. This is as bad as finding out that the goddamn white man ain't white. All this time we thought we was fighting pale faces, and the white man ain't even white. This nigga walking around infiltrating our organization, smiling with us, talking about kill Whitey, and he Whitey. It's a sad affair. Now I know what Pac was saying. They say it's the white man I should fear, but it's my own kind doing all the killing here. He said, all my riding, I ain't never think nobody look like me would shoot me. Yeah, because they look like us, but they not us. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. It ain't about the color of your skin. It's about what's in your heart. Are you ride or die, or are you ready to die? It's a difference, right? Some people will ride with you till the shit get thick. Then they bail it. But then you got some that when the shit ain't thick, you can't find them. But when it get thick, you can't get rid of them. They making sure you straight through the hard part. And because we don't hear about them when times is easy, we assume that they not watching in case they need it. But see, certain people pay attention to the people that's good for them and good to them. Some people pay attention to the wrong people. They pay attention to the ones that's good for their ego. But that ain't good for your soul. Your ego and soul can't digest the same meal. Your ego is fed off inflammatory rhetoric. Your soul is fed off pure, unadulterated truth and love. They don't eat the same thing. Right? So don't fill me with inflammatory rhetoric and try to stroke my ego, right? When I'm trying to build my soul, because you become an obstacle in my path and you're going to get stepped on. Everything that I be doing, I know what I'm doing. But the people that's trying to figure out what I'm doing, they don't know what I'm doing, and they driving themselves mad trying to figure out what I'm doing as if they don't see me doing it in real time. Everything that I said, I produced. Receipts. They don't know nothing about the Kinds of War till I brought it up. Now people starting to produce more receipts on top of the receipts that I already produced. When I came and I said we was already here, I wasn't the first one said it. But because I tied together so many other people that said it before me, that I'm not basing it on pulling something out my tail and blowing the smoke up in the air. Then they know, wait a minute, he knows something, but I don't know what he know, but I know everything that he's saying is checking out. We writing a new reality as we speak by changing the perception of those who had been duped. Right? And so once you realize that anything that's biblical is a post 1492 invasion doctrine, and the Torah was written after the New Testament because the New Testament needed a backstory. So they went back to the hieroglyphics and they rewrote the story and gave us a backstory, but they don't follow that. They follow the Mishnah and the Talmud. They don't follow the Torah. That's for the backstory of the Christians, because you need the Jews to validate the Christians. And then you need the Muslims to validate them both by all going to war with each other in the big old game of ring around the rosy. They all holding hands. They all in bed together. You didn't know that the highest imam in the world was the Pope. You didn't know that the highest rabbi in the Jewish community was the Pope. You didn't know the highest authority in the Christian church was the Pope. How did he get to be the highest ranking out of all of the three monotheistic religions if they not related? They got a church in Vatican City. They got a synagogue in Vatican City. And they have a masjid in Vatican City. And they trying to tell y'all to choose a side, and they is in bed with all of them. They got a primary bank and bank reserve vault in Vatican City. For the bankers to do banking with priests, because banking is a priesthood. This is why they use Babylonian money magic as the ritual of the priesthood in order to monitor the flow of the energy of the egregore. And that's why that's the current that you see. It's the dye marker in the water. It's a side, but it ain't the sides they telling us. It's the side of right and it's the side of wrong. It's God's side and then it's everybody else's side. God about what's right. And all of them other people keep coming in my video and under my post talking about what's your nationality. I'm a sovereign. I'm superior to a national. Don't ask my nationality again. I'm a sovereign. From the land, of the land, by the land, for the land, and for the people of the land. I ain't nobody's national. I'm nobody's citizen. I'm not a corporate asset. But I'm a corporate liability to all of them people that's leeching off our people. Go back and read the continuity of government document again so y'all can catch up to where we are. We in the reconstitution of government final phase. As the power structure shift, jurisdictional supremacy will shift, but we have to follow this path of redemption that the ancestors laid for us. And if you don't know what it is, it's above your pay grade, because all of them gave a piece. And you don't know how to put it together, then sit your tail down and watch the master while he works. See, we sit here and we won't, and we won't, and we won't, but we don't want to do nothing about it. We want everything in the universe to fall in our lap so we can say we manifested something. Manifestation requires assertion of energy. Why? Because if the energy doesn't move, the manifestation is delayed through stagnation of energy. This is why Paul told y'all faith without works is dead. That means that if you believe something gonna happen, but you do nothing to make it happen, you just believe it in vain. You have to put in a certain amount of labor effort, what we call due diligence, according to your level of comprehension and understanding. Do the best you can with what you know, to each one teach one something that you know is tangible. That's all you can do. As you learn better, you're supposed to do better. And if you do better, you're going to eventually start to teach better. Because that's part of the mission. As a human, we pass information to other humans in order to weave an understanding of what's taking place according to who sees the problem best. How do you know who sees the problem best? The one who sees the problem best is obligated to lead by ancestral decree, not because he want to be the leader. And when he put in the front, it's like Rudolph. Rudolph ain't the oldest reindeer. He ain't the biggest reindeer. It's just the reindeer that can see through the fog because his nose lit up. Right? And if you go straight up the bridge of your nose, you hear your third eye. It's all reverse indoctrination. They tell you the story backwards for you to flip it. This is called flipping the Lucifer lens. When you understand that your optics already flip everything to give you the illusion that you right side up, when you walking upside down and you don't even know it. So your optics gives you the impression that while you in the upside down world, that you really in the right side up world. Yep, the nose knows. Right, so we got all of these leaders of distress, including man. I have a particular talent based on my childhood upbringing and my later education and learning about so many different subjects that allows me to be able to look into a situation and see things other people cannot see. Right? It's a show called The Pretender, where he could study a subject by reading up on the subject, and then he come out and then he can exercise that skill he learned from the study in real life. Everybody can't do that. A lot of people read a lot of books that tell you about how to do things in life in order to solve problems, but they can't translate what they seen on the paper into what they see in real life. I see them owls, that's Black Girl Magic. That's the Rudolph knockback on the Hooters flip, on the owl face, on the night journey, on the 420 flip, on the turnaround, on the West Coast turnaround. It's a 550 to a big 50. So it's a 50 over 50, right? That's 100% on the knock to the knockback. So when the message come in, you flip the code. The code is just telling you how the brain is processing information, and if your intuition is intact, you follow the information to the source of the flip. So they call it knocking when somebody flip. When you get a response, that's a knockback, right? When you flip the mirror, you show something. Flipping the mirror, there's a rule that says same but different. So you got the different clans knocking across the land to free all of the chiefs, and the more who understand what's working energetically, the more can contribute to the work energetically. This is called taking control of the great egregore that we've allowed society to dictate unchecked by rogue legislators, right? So when you delve into strategy, you got to also look at cause and effect. Because when you're talking about, excuse me, so when you're talking about reading what the energy is on the spirit, you translating signs and symbols. The signs and symbols come through. When they say a dragon, he spit like a dragon, that's what it means. A dragon is a master of verbal communication, where the words that the master say can actually illuminate your heart chakra. And they also call that being bit by a dragon. Because once you've been bit by a dragon, you waking up. Right? It's like the comparative analysis. Imagine you fighting a T-Rex and that sucker, and you waking up early in the morning and then he all of a sudden bites you. How quick you wake up to realize that you in a real fight for your life. That's a white owl on the 420 knot, on the 2012 knot to a knockback off of Dragons in Flight. That's the masters knocking. That's what the seventh trumpet is, the seventh master, the master of the sevens. That's the flipping of the lime. The lime is the seven upside down. The circle seven is the seven right side up, right? So the seven and the seven flip seven off of master seven. So that's the 777. That's a divine man. And the divine man is going to tell you that the queen mother seat is 13. 13 makes a bee, and the bee is in flight. And the bee lands on the honey pot. And the honey pot is an air. And the air is a hare. And the hare is a bunny. And the bunny is hopping. And the hopping bunny is an Easter bunny. And Easter is Esther. And Esther is Ishtar. And Ishtar is Inanna. And Inanna is Isis. And Isis is the queen of heaven and earth. Hail Mary, Ta Mary. The land of Mary is the land of Isis. Ta Mary means the land of the mother, the great mother. And as the great mother rises, they say that the star rises in the east. An Eastern Star reference. And the 13th floor is to conceal the fact that they don't want you to know that anything dealing with the number 13 is taboo, because it's dealing with the divine feminine and the rightful heir to the rightful seat of the great mother. The 13th seat of the zodiac, Tawaret. Right? So all of these things is hieroglyphics in motion. Your reality is written and it's lived as active hieroglyphics. I call it hieroglyphic animation, but the modern term for it is artificial simulation, because you take your mind and you manifest the reality that you all agreed upon, but you don't take the tiny details, the intangibles that comes with a bunch of people believing the same thing. It's going to manifest something, but it might not be what you think. But the person that created the source of the manifestation know what they compelling you to manifest, while you manifested it on their behalf in your ignorance. They've taken control of the great egregore. But we at Event Horizon right now. We beyond critical mass. The people woke. The 144,000. That's one angel sent. Right? And the angels come to redeem the righteous from the throes of the wicked. What was the wicked doing to the righteous? Bondage and servitude. Debt is slavery. Capture them in debt and put them in bondage. Deceive them into believing they free the whole time. Continuously deprive their bottom dollar so they can always stay in your servitude, and they can't never work their way out of the condition. It's not designed for you to work your way out. It's designed for you to wake your way up so that you can help everybody else get out. We not trapped. We trapping ourselves. The great Amen spell, telling your inner God to remain unknown while you all the time waiting for somebody else to come and do your work for you. And this how you know can't nobody clear your karma but you, because that's why you here. Your karma is your life purpose. You here as a result of all of the generational good and bad accumulations, and you are the answer for the good to correct the bad, or the bad to overtake the good, however it happens. Karma The balance must be found. If you don't find the balance, then you can't unlock the gates. The gates is only locked because the balance is out of order. And as long as the balance is out of order, then the people are struggling in distress trying to figure out why are their life falling apart. Their life not falling apart. They just following the script of the person that told them to not put their life together. So now they following the edicts of the ones that told them not to put their life together, and they the ones responsible to put the life together for them, but it ain't the life they want. This creates an automatic innate anxiety of being here. Why are you here? What's your purpose? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Right? Have you ever wondered, why in the heck am I here? Who brought me here? Somebody conjured me up, or I wouldn't be here. Your generational development across family lines is what conjured you up. The way that the people before us live, good or bad or indifferent, it does not matter. We are the sum total of everything that preceded us in order for us to produce something better than us for the future. This is what they call standing on the shoulder of giants, right? Because you've taken everything from the ones before us, whether we believe it or don't believe it. It goes into the analysis group in order to determine if we're going to perpetuate it or interrupt the pattern. In the Emerald Tablets, to who he say, life is cycles within cycles. And he who wishes to break free must break free of the cycles. What is he talking about, breaking free of cycles? Because everything is cyclic, it's patterns, it's fractals, it's binary code, it's Fibonacci sequence, it's sacred geometry. But they all doing something different at the same time, which gives us the illusion that life is life while we live in it, and all the time it's just a simulation in the game of the gods. Some of us remember doing this multiple times. Others think this is their first time here. Right? Peace, fam, peace. And when you look at greatness, one of the side effects of achieving anything great is you're going to create your hater committee, your detractors, the ones who feel like they entitled to what you work for whatever they reasons that they concoct in their head, it don't really matter, right? They want what you got because they feel you got more than enough to give it to them. No, it don't work like that. If I choose to give you something, that's my choice. You can't make me give you anything. You can't take nothing from me. You might try to take something from me. But remember, I'm always on my business. I'm in my lane, handling my business the way my mama and my daddy taught me, and having never failed me. So when you come in my lane and become a speed bump, don't get angry with me for rolling over you while you jumping lanes into something that you know nothing about. I'm going to always take care of my business first, and then I'm going to have recreation. I don't care if it takes me 10 years to take care of my business. I'm going to tend to my business before I have recreations. Once my business is taken care of, I'm going to have all the fun I can. I'm going to probably try to save some in the jar for the people that ain't there. I'm going to have so much fun, it's just going to be rolling out down the street. But business is going to get took care of first. It's not. Yep. Take family business personal. It's family business. I'm just here handling my part of the family business I was assigned. And like they say, I just take family business personal. So don't take it personally that I take family business personal, because I'm serious about my family. Therefore, family business becomes a serious matter. And I'm not taking sides with none of the family. Either I'm going to help as many of them as I can help, or I ain't going to help none of them. I'm either going to help all of them, or I ain't going to help none of them. I'm not going to half-ass it. Mama said don't half-ass nothing. If you going to half-ass it, then don't put no ass in it at all. So I'm not finna half-ass it. My daddy said, what's the sense of starting something if you ain't going to finish it? Right? So the marathon continues until we finish putting these tribes back in a jurisdictional supremacy position as the caretakers of the land, the guardians of the women and the children. These characters is going to bump straight. But remember, I told y'all, watch the chain reaction. Ain't nobody finna escape, and it's finna pick up pace over the next couple of weeks. Right? Watch the chain reaction. Your mouth gonna hit the flow. Because you can't keep sacrificing righteous people in order for you to keep your dirt covered up. We are not on this watch that we on now, we don't accept the sacrificing of the innocent for the redemption of the wicked. We don't accept that. That's automatically rejected on this watch. You can go ask Abraham Traore. He gonna tell you the same thing. We not buying it. We come in teams all over the world, right? Go to South Africa. Ask Julius. I can't say his last name. Malamudea. But you know what I'm talking about. Go watch Winnie Mandela's funeral and you will see what I'm talking about. Because if the wind would have blew that day, they was going to tear it up. Julius said, Mother, let the wind blow. It's a gust of wind and we know what to do next. The sky ain't never been so still. Whatever they was doing for a heart, they wasn't doing it that day. Unless they was making the weather be still, because it was serious. Yep. That's my guy. They all over the world. Most of them is the women. In Haiti, right? Even though you have the sons of Dessalines out front, they being guided by some women. Haiti is being reclaimed by women. But we all see the men out front because that's their job. That's their position. That's what they supposed to do. When the women and the children in danger, we supposed to tear something up. But we can't tear nothing up because we so infiltrated, we don't know who to protect and who throat to cut. We don't know who to push off the cliff and who to pull back up. This is bad. They look like us, but they ain't us. But you watch how they move and they tell on themselves. But they move and organize like never before. And this is the last stronghold. We just not going to put people in danger just to say we accomplished a goal. That doesn't make sense to me. I told the Empress that we got to fall back. We got to find a different avenue. We can't work with them people that's infiltrated. That got that many black devils fighting against a righteous brother in distress. All the time they out here trying to keep the other parts of the family from getting him out. They just have no regard for his suffering and his struggle. And that's very foul. That's foul. They see, look, I'm gonna give y'all, I'm not gonna call no names because I don't know these people. I don't know none of them. But let's say, for instance, the ones who wanted to hold on to Nuwaubian when they became Sabian. And they see the Sabians appear to be moving to support Malachi release, the Nuwaubians will get in the way, attack them. If the Nuwaubians start making a move to go get Malachi, then the Sabians will start getting in the way, blocking, right? So if the Washita Moors start making a move to go see what they have to do to get Malachi free, you got Sabians and Nuwaubians blocking them. So they always blocking each other at every turn. And while they doing this, the old man suffering. All these brothers are suffering. Right? All of them suffering. But everybody is collecting money and out for selfish agendas and selling their products and whatnot and using his image and his likeness, and they capitalizing on his intellectual property. They printing books, but they ain't giving him a cut. They putting books out without giving him a cut. They not sending nothing to him. Only certain people has been sending him the stuff, the whole time. Ain't all of these new people that's coming in that's getting wealthy by reproducing the works of this man, right? They not doing nothing for him. But every time all I did was say he should have been out and read his release orders into the public domain and got attacked from so many different angles. I don't know who these people is. And then how you gonna work with somebody when you don't know where the infiltrators is, because that's not your camp? Malachi know who all of them is by name, birth date, tribal position. He know them all. He just ain't gonna say nothing right now, because he want to see who's paying attention when the masters is speaking. Are you really listening, or are you going along to get along? Are you trying to trade your slave master and get you a chief so you could be his slave? Don't none of the chiefs want you for a slave. I'm going to tell you that now. We don't like ass kissers because we ain't kissing no ass. We don't want you to do no ass kissing to us because we not finna kiss nobody's ass. That's just the rule. Yep, Mumia Abu Jamal. Look, that was our code. The police killed his partner and whopped Mumia upside the head with that stick. And that's why the other cops say when they pulled up, he was sitting there delirious. He ain't know what was going on, and he was sitting on the curb. The other cop killed his partner. Dirty cops. You know, they don't want you to know that, though. And he used Mumia as the fall guy. That's that New Jersey knockoff, them Canadian geese. That's the Sada Shakur T-neck flip off New Jersey on the Black Girl Magic. I'm ready to come home. Wrap this stuff up. I'm working on it, Sada. I'm working on it. This Malachi thing is heartbreaking, though. For somebody to put that much work in to wake their people up, and the ones that they love the most betray them. That's painful to watch. It's painful to observe, and it's painful to review for the people to know what's going on the land. Like, that's hurtful. Anybody that care about the suffering of others looking at this would be disgusted, ready to puke. It's a whole lot of them we infiltrated. We infiltrated. Look, I'm growth and development. I'm under Larry Hoover. I'm trying to give aid and assistance to a fellow comrade in the struggle, Malachi York, and I don't know what that's wild. Yeah, Rashad, he part of the program. See, this why I keep telling y'all, watch the chain reaction. Cause what's gonna get Rashad out is when the setup come out. How they played that setup to sacrifice him for somebody else to have a music career. And like, we not gonna see this. Right? And so remember this, self-sacrifice is the highest form of sacrifice. In order to do the most good, sometimes you got to endure the most suffering. No, there's not two of me. It's just one of me. But I'll be moving like a team, so people be thinking there's more than one of me, but it's just me. I just be moving like that. And it's the reason why I be trying to avoid public functions as much as possible, because I'm watching how this system move, right? And what we seeing going on, wow. As you talking about, Bobby, you talking about his son that turned out not to be his? You talking about that baby mama? And the brother said I seen his baby mama get a GoFundMe for $100K. I know that ain't 100 million K. Gotta be 100K. Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. Hey, take me a picture and send it to me on my inbox. That's a receipt. Look, these people is sacrificing people. Using the alchemical law of equivalent exchange, they was using righteous people to sacrifice in order for wicked people to reap the rewards of their wickedness at the expense of the suffering of the righteous. Y'all gotta remember that. But watch the chain reaction. Diddy ain't going down. He's finna expose something. In the chain reaction, one of the people that is going to be exposed gonna blow y'all mind. Because we didn't had words. And the sacrifice had to be repeated to find out if it was valid, and show as poop stank. They turned around and tried the same MO, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And the soldier, Big Mama sent in there, her celebrity mirrors WWE Jade Cargill. When you watch her, you see how the girl moving on the spiritual realm. Then you will see why the moves is being made. But you got to put the pieces together from there. I can't tell you everything. But I can give you a clue to let you follow a lead and give you the opportunity to see what I see. And once you begin to see what I see, you will realize that the separation is not even 6 degrees, more like 3. Because somebody was a procurer and they stole the wrong person's name and they got put on blast on the halls of shame. Now, I'm surprised that this magazine cover story ain't blowed up yet, But remember, everybody that claim to be a reporter is not a reporter. Some people use press passes in order to get access to celebrities in order to do human trafficking. Yep. That baby, that Carter girl. They say that's Tupac's daughter that they kidnapped when she was young in order to traffic her. I don't know if it's true, but yeah, her name Ali Carter, I think. But that's the kind of stuff they do to the chosen heirs. If they know you're a chosen heir, go, if you want to know about Hove, go get that 444 album and listen to it. He's telling you something, right? He's telling you where the keys at. He's telling you 444 mean the angel on the post, right? He's telling you something. Yeah. That's heartbreaking what that girl been through, but she ain't lying. Everything she said. Oh, well, it wasn't an official COINTELPRO operation. It was a sacrificial industry operation, but it was created years ago, the template by COINTELPRO on the sacrificing of the artists for the other artists. If you want to see, all you got to do is watch how the industry work. They always sacrifice one artist before they inflate another one up in their place. And that's so that they can't outsell the new artists. They also got something that they call shelving, where they take a guy like Rakim or Black Thought and then sign him, and then they'll never let him make an album, but then they'll go put out somebody else that don't have half of the talent or skill set. And then they will put the promotional machine behind them so that you would think that this is the best that hip hop have to offer. No. Brother Jay, go listen to Brother Jay. He's telling you your African root science in song and lyric. Go listen to Rakim. He's telling you the 5% perceptive analysis so you can get their tribe's understanding of the lingo. Go listen to Black Thought, that son of Philly, right? He ain't no average spitter. When you listen to these guys, you got to know that they also code flipping. Hip hop is old tribal code flipping. If you go to YouTube, type in Gopher Indians underdog, and you're going to see how they made mockery of the rappers, where they had a little Indian on underdog. He's supposed to be rapping, but he's talking about igadaka boogadaka dikabaka boo. Gibberish. Mumble rap. As it was in the beginning, it always comes back full circle. One thing about them tables, they don't stop turning. And my mama say, turnabout is fair play. If they done it to you first, you got the right to do it back to them. Except you can't start no war. Right? You got artists all over the country with skills, and they promote trash. The artists came out and told us about the industry meeting in 91 when they said they'd take control of the music industry, the rap, and steer what the people is digesting as the music on the drum beat. So they're using the music to turn us against ourselves. So what happened? The evolution of rap happened. The rappers started mumbling. Why did they start mumbling? Because the industry is controlling the narrative, so they can't really give the report they want to give on what's going on in the hood. So they know to conceal it in mumbles. They even got cartoons about us mumbling. They made cartoons about us mumbling, but they making fun of us, but we think that they just punning us. No big pun intended. Spitting bars. Right? So you got that Puerto Rican prince up there with that rapid fire verbals. And then all of a sudden he just dropped dead. Come on, man. Biggie, a rap phenomenon. Sad affair. But when you look at the controlling hands behind the scenes, no, they similar but different. Rosicrucians and the Templars is different. Templars became known as Vikings, and over here we call them Hell's Angels. Nomads on the land that was given the jurisdiction authority by Big Mama to roam as nomads when they was riding horses. Now they ride steel horses. And when the tribes give the call, you're going to hear these motorcycles rumbling across the land. They coming. They already in treaties with vice lords, with stones, with crips, with bloods. Somebody had to be wise enough to stop the bloodshed, because we was being used to fight against each other. You got to go back to the 70s. You got to go study who was the Weather Underground, right? We don't know this stuff. If you don't know who the Weather Underground is, then you won't even know about the Black Liberation Army. Then you won't ever even understand what Joseph Sinkhu was doing. Then it's going to really confuse you that Charles Manson never told nobody to kill nobody, but they all pinned it on him because he didn't want to start a race war. Right? They've been using us against each other, and the whole time they look like us and they ain't us. It's sad. And only the ones with pale faces that hold key positions in government get to see the real dirty players. And they all get shocked when they get there. They all be surprised. They never thought that the leaders of these secret societies was some crispy, dark, nappy-head, red-eyed Negroes. And when they looking at them, they saying they look like they don't even have a soul. Bobby Hemmett called them human artificial. Then go back to what Bobby Hemmett said. He said they was here long for that cracker. They was here long for that cracker. They came in with original creation. Right? Look. Charles Manson, Joseph Sinkhu, was trained by the best friend of Jim Jones, who was a CIA MK Ultra trainer, handler. He went into San Quentin in the early 60s. Both Joseph Sinkhu was trained by him and Charles Manson. He told Charles Manson how to use LSD and mushrooms in order to use it as a controlling mechanism by influencing the perception of the youth who's taking these substances. Whereas Joseph Sinkhu was trained in military operations and military control tactics, right? So they using two different MK Ultra methods of control. That's so that they can appear to be trained by two different people, but the same person knew both of them. The original writer of MK Ultra mind control was a guy named Dr. Esther Brooks. Esther Brooks developed a hypnotic technique where one person can be implanted with a message for another person and never know he delivered the message or that he had the message, and the other person say a key word, get the message, say another key word, and the other person don't know he gave it to him. Right? All that's MK Ultra. So they tasked Charles Manson with starting or forming a middle-class urban Caucasian community to rage in this race war against Joseph Senku, who they wanted to go out and recruit estranged members of the Panthers and other teenage and college-age brothers who was disenfranchised with the system, and they were supposed to meet in California and LA and fight out between Manson's group and Senku's group. They rose up a couple years apart because Manson got out of prison first. And Manson started telling his followers what the government was planning. He was the first leak. He was the first leak in the government scheme to use the people to fabricate this race war called Helter Skelter. And he was telling them how they was going to use the fluoride to poison the water. He was giving them the whole MK Ultra rundown of the control measures that they would be using to call the masses. And they wanted to foment this race war so that they can come in and resolve the matter. Once they come in and resolve the matter, then they got the pale face and the red face or brown face in a service like they did in the Civil War. It's just a repeat, right? And so when they realized that Charles Manson became a liability, he went rogue. That's right. When he became a liability, the CIA said, we got to deal with him. So they sent this brother who was a FBI agent, not a brother like Brownskin, this dude named Tex. And if you go back and you read the original police reports, all of the girls said, Tex said Charlie wanted us to kill the LaBianca and the Tates. Charlie never told us, right? And both murders, the second murder, they said Charles Manson came, but he didn't stay. But that's because he was never there. He was still out at what they called the People's Ranch, where he was teaching these middle-class runaways and refugees about the inner workings of this corrupt system and the things that he had learned from his coach in MK Ultra, because he thought he had Manson under his total control. He was freely giving him information that he wouldn't have otherwise been privy to. He wouldn't have gave it. Now, the pictures, they always show him in the picture with the teacher, the coach, the one who trained Senku and the one who trained Manson. It's the same guy. He's in a picture with Jim Jones. But if you look in the caption, everybody in the picture named except him. There's 6 people in the picture, 5 people named. There's 3 people in the picture, 2 people named. They never give his name in none of the captions of the picture because he was an MK Ultra government operative and handler designed to go out and recruit what they called the generals to foment the race war. And this is why Charles Manson kept saying they're trying to start a race war. And then the news media said Charles Manson said he came to start a race war. And they lying on him. They showing what he's saying, and then they telling us what to believe from what he said. And the general public fell for it, and the jury convicted him, and he ain't never told nobody to kill nothing. As a matter of fact, he used to tell them that they need to be one with nature if they wanted to escape this thing that was coming. And if they don't tune in to nature, they will not be able to find an escape. And now all of a sudden he's a serial killer. They just blew Senku up because they couldn't trust him in the joint because he was too good at what he did. And they didn't want no brother like that teaching brothers in the penitentiary how to be that effective. And if he could send 5 of them out to be as effective as him, he could have took over the whole West Coast. So they just went on and blew him on up. Blowed him all the way off the map. Patty Hearst just got lucky and escaped from the raft, right? But she went to prison. Jimmy Carter gave her a pardon because they came in and exposed the connection to MK Ultra, and then they started saying that Joseph Senku used mind control on Patty Hearst. You damn right he did. He learned it from your government officials in your military, in your operations, your MK Ultra. That's why he showed mind control her, right? That's why she was able to get a pardon, because they call that in law irresistible impulse, the inability to conform your conduct to the requirements of the law due to external circumstances or situations. She's exempt under the law from criminal activity when it's under duress. It's the same as if the government create a crime and they recruit you to be partners in the crime with them. They can't do that. That's entrapment. Every one of these leaders we talking about, whether it's Angel Bay, whether it's Larry Hoover, whether it's Malachi York, they all in there from government conspiracies. The government created the circumstance in order to remove them from being good leaders to the people. And as long as we don't realize what's going on, they continue to do it. But the more of us become aware of the function of the situation, what are they doing? Why are they moving like that? Why they keep running this Joe Biden fiasco in front of us as if we don't know that this character that they running is not Joe Biden. And fact checkers said that Joe Biden's grave is not Joe Biden's grave and we made it up. When you can go onto the website, Arlington Cemetery, and pull it up yourself. And the fact checker said it's false. Come on now. I screenshotted the video while I went to the site, Arlington Cemetery site, and pulled up his obituary. They told us the story, and then they told us the cover story. They call him Homicide Joe. No, Genocide Joe. That's what they call him. They say he Genocide Joe and he was put to death for crimes against humanity. But the cover story gonna be different. It's told you the whole cover story. This is gonna be a different cover story. But who is this character masquerading as Joe Biden? Now, well, they got different characters. It's not the same one all the time. Sometimes it's some dude named Arthur something. Another time it's Jim Carrey. You know when it's Jim Carrey because he do the thing that he used to do on Mask. And then he got the other one where he give you this powerful coherent speech. That's James Woods. They all play a different part of the Joe Biden narrative. And if we don't see this stuff going on in front of our face, it got to be at least 5. It got to be at least 5. Because I done seen different heights of, Arthur Roberts. And I done seen different heights for Joe Biden. So when he be standing against certain people at different times, he not always the same height. It's so many differences. So the one with the ear attached, the one with the ear detached. Yep, James Woods too. They use James Woods when they want to give a coherent speech, because he can throw his voice and sound similar enough to Biden where they can adjust it with the optics from the computer, so it'll sound like it's Joe Biden. Yep. Then you got about 4 different chins. Yep. The left-handed one, the right-handed. Everybody's seeing it, but we ain't saying nothing. We all know it's a whole storyline playing out. We see it. We see it. It's too many of us that see it. I think George Clooney is too heavy in the face and the neck to play the character. But it's possible because they use the green screen and the CGI in order to doctor the film. Yeah, look, at some point, when we realize that we really is actively reclaiming the land, reclaiming the country from this legal fiction, you got to realize that the United States is a corporation like Halliburton. You got to realize that the same way that Bush and Cheney set Halliburton up to run Iraq and Afghanistan is the same way the Crown of England and the Vatican set up America to run the same way an interim government. The interim government is not your government. That's why the police got firearms, because we in a police state. They tell you that we in something called a democratic republic. That's an oxymoron in and of itself, right? I think Dana Carvey too short. But if he's seated, he could get away with it because he is a master of disguise, as they say. But all these different things, well, I ain't so sure about Gucci Mane. I didn't even look into that when I was seeing it deep enough to know. But I do know that some of them tattoos ain't lining up. Well, it's a guy. It's at least two Kamala Harrises. One of them is a dude dressed in drag. The same as at least one of the Michelle Obamas is a man, but one of them is a woman. One of the Kamala Harrises is a woman, and the other one is a man. This is crazy. Kim Kardashian is the queen of the damned, right? All these people watch the chain reaction, right? They kept Epstein the secret long enough to gather up the rest of the dirty players. Now all this stuff's got to come out. It's got to come out. And it looked like it could be all blowed up by I never seen Maya Rudolph, but it wouldn't surprise me. I know I've seen at least two Kamala Harrises. One is a woman and one is a man. And I've seen a slew of Joe Bidens. It's at least 3 Donald Trumps. And they have tails. They don't always move the same. They got what they call subtleties that you learn to look for. These subtleties might be a little quirk that one person have that another person don't. Like, it might be a person that always touch their face like this. All of a sudden, when you see them, they doing this now. That's a different subtlety. So that's a different person. But when they put the theatrical effect to it, you're going to be confused. 7 Trumps. I know it's at least 3 Trumps. So the Beyonce and the country music, if you watch the country artists have been doing R&B for years. But because they have a country accent and they use certain instruments is classified as country. One of the biggest country and western writers was Lionel Richie from the Commodores, right? And the Commodores fell out with Lionel Richie for giving songs to Kenny Rogers that they said they should have been recording, right? So this ended up leading to their split. Anyway, the reason is country music is old Mississippi blues. I'm going to say that again. Country music is old Mississippi blues. You had the harp blues, you had the banjo blues, you had the box guitar blues. Then you had the what they called the harp was the harmonica. Then they took the fiddle. Different genres of blues became bluegrass music and country music. The reason why Beyonce would need to even do country is to remind us of where it came from for a reason. Because we are the salt of the earth. We came up with all these genres of music. It started with Scott Joplin and ragtime. Then it was hard bop. Then it was bebop. Then it was swing. Then it was swing jazz. Then it was hard bop, bebop, all of these different genres of jazz. Then you had blues, rhythm and blues, soul music. Out of this, you get rock and roll. From the rock and roll guitar of Jimi Hendrix, you end up with heavy metal and death metal. So when you're looking at the history of music, you're going to trace any music that come from this land, even hip hop, back to the Mississippi Delta. When you get to Louisiana, and if you know the culture from the early 1900s, when the brothers used to meet each other coming out the fields, they used to have this thing where they say, "What's your rap?" And when they say, "What's your rap?" you tell them about yourself in witty wordplay of rhythmic rhyme. I walk 47 miles of barbed wire. I got a cobra snake for a necktie. I got a cabin down by the roadside made out of rattlesnake hide. I got a brand new chimney sitting on top made out of human skull. Come on, walk with me, little girl, and tell me who do you love. That's a song from the 50s. That's a song from the 50s, right? But that's what they say, what's your rap? Then over time, those in the players clubs begin to do rhythmic rhymes to toast and celebrate the occasion. These became known as toasts. And some of them were so strong that people would write them down and disseminate them or teach them to other people in other parts of the country, right? Like the Jungle Creed, say the strong must feed on any prey at hand. I sat at the feast and was labeled a beast before I was a man, right? So that's an old toast. We know about Rudy Ray Moore and Dolomite, right? But we don't know that all of these are contributing factors to hip-hop. Hip-hop also have another contributing factor of the spiritualist movement in the 1900s. They called it rapping and tapping. This is when you beating on the tables and you tapping for spirits to knock back. This is them speaking to us in the future, and when we pick it up in the future, it's going to come out as a song on the table. Rapping and tapping. We going to be rapping the song and somebody going to be beating on the table with a pencil at lunch, picking up the message that was laid down 100 years ago. But only certain ones going to know how to translate it into the common language so that the people can know what we rapping about. To the end of time. Back for everything they owe. What we rapping about. Right? Is it wrong to fight for what's mine? Come on now. Ambitions of a rider we talking. So when you start remembering that there's more than one way to skin a cat, it's more than one way to bust a gat, and there's more than one way to die. Sometimes you can die without being dead. Perception creates reality. What you perceive to be the truth might not be the truth, but because you perceive it as so, it's true to you. But to other people, you got some people that's trained to see behind the cracks in the doors from the other side of the room, right? How you gonna guarantee to spark the brain if you ain't part of a program to make a brain spark? You got to be part of a program to spark brains. Well, who got a program to spark brains? We do. It's called a redemption process. It's called the process of restoring the tribes back for their rightful place. Yeah. It's anomalies in the murders of the ones they said was dead that average people overlook. They said that Pimp C was shot in the head, but when they did the autopsy, he didn't have a bullet nowhere. Make it make sense. Right? Then they changed the cause of death. They said that what looked like blood all over his hotel bed turned out to be, what's that stuff? Lean. Because he was getting high. Come on now. They had to shut that brother up talking about them drag queens in the industry. Those ones masquerading as men, but they doing all kind of nefarious stuff to lure the boys into these contracts, these 360 deals. Right? Go ask a hooker what is a 360. Don't ask regular people because they don't know what you're talking about. A 360 in the prostitution is not the same as 360 in mathematics. Just so you know. It's some stuff going on. Like, put some respect on my name, Birdman. Whole buck breaker. That's all he do. He into that. Buck breaking. He wants somebody to put some respect on his name. I would literally slap him down myself. I don't have no respect for him. What he doing to them boys? Got no respect for him. I cut his throat from ear to ear. I cannot respect that. Right? When you exploiting the economic suffering of children in order to put them in positions to abuse them. Right? And then you want to tell somebody that you think you can beat when you got all your goons with you to put some speck on your name. I'll put some speck on your name, or I'll put a speck on your eye. But y'all not seeing. Look, I'm probably gonna pull these receipts up and post them. I've been wrote about Vince McMahon and his nefarious dealings behind the scenes 5 years ago. Been wrote about it. But back then, when nobody was talking about it, nobody knew what I was talking about. Right? And how they figure out how to get rid of the people that he couldn't stand. And I can name them. He needed to get rid of Chris Benoit because he was a concussion liability, and they had discovered while he was taking his physical after winning the title that he had severe brain damage from multiple concussions, and they didn't want to have to pay out on a concussion lawsuit that was about to spark up. And Jesse the Body is back there trying to get a wrestlers union organizing the wrestlers. That's why Vince had to get rid of him. So he had to get rid of the Macho Man because the Macho Man interfered. They think Macho Man was having an affair with Stephanie when she was underage, but it was more like he was protecting Stephanie from somebody else. And Vince ran in there. Stephanie hid behind the Macho Man, and Vince told him, Macho Man told Vince he can't touch her while he there, and he fired him. Then she was in love with Curt Hennig because she thought he was the finest thing that ever laced up a pair of wrestling boots, because that was her type. If you look at Triple H, you understand what I'm talking about. And because Vince had this long thing with the Hennigs, going back to his father and exploiting him for wealth back in the day under Vince McMahon Sr., then you understand why he didn't like the fact that Stephanie thought that he was so adorable, and he really hated him because his daughter was in love with him. And so they had to get rid of him. They put DMSO in his cocaine and gave him a bad batch of cocaine. Then Macho Man, they put the DMSO in his ecstasy tablets and gave him some bad ecstasy, and they sent Kevin Sullivan to kill Chris Benoit and his wife and son. That's what happened. Just like Vince had some people go kill Dino Bravo because he was scared of Dino Bravo, and he's too scared to fire him, so he hired somebody to go kill him. 9 out of 10, it was Billy Jack Haynes, who they said was wrestling's hired gun in order for them to enforce a lot of their stuff back in the 70s and early 80s. Right? So he had Dino Bravo was his first major kill because he was in line to be champ, to overtake Hulk Hogan as the heel champ and go with a feud with Hulk Hogan. But because he was into other stuff, they was able to use his connections with the trafficking of tobacco from Canada to America in order to get it under the prices that was the cause of him getting murdered. Yeah, so Owen Hart, they partially connected his harness on purpose, and that was to get back at Bret for the Montreal screw job and signing that lucrative deal with WCW. And Vince was, made his brother pay for his sins, so to speak. It's list goes on and on, because all of these things, like a lot of the law enforcement in these cases was paid off. This is why it's in this era is good to get the original report, because the report might change. Because the original report in the Benoit case said that Benoit was dead at least 2 hours before his wife and his son. But when they came out with the official report listed him as being killing them first and then killing himself. And I was like, how did the times of death change to him being dead 2 hours before them to him being dead an hour and a half after them? And then nobody even asked the question. None of the people asked the question, like, how was that possible? Right? But it was all for the sacrifice. That's the three. And if you go back and you look at the timing, right? After the Chris Benoit death, after Eddie Guerrero died, and right in the middle of them two, the cerebral assassin emerged. Think about that for a minute. Right between the death of Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, this is when Paul Levesque is being hazed by Vince McMahon. He losing to bums. Chyna killed herself because she was betrayed by the one she loved, which was Triple H. And he was having this meeting with Vince to try to secure the hand of Stephanie McMahon in marriage. And she was really, really, really in love with Triple H. And then once he decided to leave her for Stephanie, Stephanie tried to compensate her, which made her want to puke. And she fell into the bottle and fell into a deep depression, and X-Pac couldn't get her out of it. Right? Yeah, her and X-Pac, because, X-Pac is younger than them. He grew up watching her with Triple H, and he came originally as a friend to console her. but he couldn't leave her because it was always a chance. That's what I'm talking about, X-Pac. He couldn't leave her alone because he was scared she was going to hurt herself. And him being with her on a day-to-day basis like that made them end up becoming a couple. But he was really trying to just be a good friend, but he fell into the relationship trying to support her while she was going through this mental, the 1, 2, 3 kid. She was going through this mental struggle, you know. Vince responsible for quite a few suicides. Some people he ruined financially and they killed themselves behind it. And some people he had other things done. Like he used to sell good old JR's wife to his friends and thought it was funny. And dared JR to say something. Then he turned around and had her killed. But they don't want to talk about that stuff because the brotherhood in wrestling at that, you know, in that era was so tight that your life is literally in the balance if you spread that stuff. Jake the Snake's still around. He just got strung out on cocaine. The Ultimate Warrior, they poisoned him at the induction to the Hall of Fame, and it only took 24 hours to kill him. I'm not sure that Whitney and Bobby Christina is gone, because I've seen some signs from some secret societies at both of their services that lead me to believe that they was removed to protect them from Clive Davis. But Clive Davis, he's a real Clive Davis, Tommy Mottola, Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, all of them is handlers. They all work for the Jewish Defense League and the Anti-Defamation League, and they all are there in order to make sure that they have some way to control these artists, right? And this is why all of the artists of the 90s had to go in to find out how to tell these artists in the 2000s how to be independent and get around the labels. Well, before they could do that, they first had to teach them what is your BMI and your ASCAP, right? What is your distribution? Who's your distributor, right? Do you got a label deal, a distribution deal, or artist deal? So when they had to go through all of that, and a jaguar is a priest, a leopard, right? It's a North American equivalent to a leopard. And the black jaguar is called the Black Panther, the same way as a black leopard is called the Black Panther, the same way a black mountain lion is called the Black Panther. There's a root clan totem tribe called the Black Panthers from the old Mississippians, which is the root tribes to all of the tribes on both sides of the Mississippi. The ones to the east of the Mississippi are admixtures of peoples who came from Africa, the Middle East, India, and Europe primarily. Whereas on the West Coast, most of the people that we amalgamated there came from Hawaii, Japan, China, Korea, and all the way down into the islands of Samoa. Those were the people who we was marrying on the West. And so a lot of what they was calling giants, you got to remember, when they coming over here, their average height is between 5 feet and 5'5". But the old Mississippians average between 6'5" and 7'5" on a regular, and they weigh anywhere from 285 to 400 pounds each. Them is your gorilla clans. Only reason I know because that's the clan that my father line come off of. The gorillas, them old Mississippi conjure men who use the gorilla as the totem, right? And all these trace back into Mesoamerica, going into Central and South America. We was called from all parts of the land to fight in the primary battlefield in Florida. Yeah. So right now, we need rappers that can keep it on wax, show the competitive edge, bring the interest back without nobody dying. And this is how you show the evolution of the artists in the game into a new level, because it was supposed to always be competitive wordplay. How do you move the words on wax versus how I move the words on wax? And how do your words move the crowd versus how my words move the crowd? So it became different types of artistry. You got the passion artists, right? That they passion carry the song. I'm talking about DMX, Tupac. Then you have verbal artists where they lyrics carry the song, like Biggie, like Big Pun, right? Then you have tongue twisters. The tongue twisters are the rapid rappers who use the language and they able to talk fast. Go back to JFK setting the world's record for the fastest speech ever, right? This is the wordplay. That's the Bone Thugs and Harmony, Twister out of Chicago, and guys like that, right? But then you got something called Southern Drawl. This is why you got different types of Southern rap. You got Texas Southern rap. You got Louisiana Southern rap. You got Atlanta Southern rap. And then you got Florida Southern rap, homage to Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke, pay attention because he's telling y'all something. Uncle Luke said, I'm in my garage for a reason. So he's been telling us about the industry since the lawsuit. We forget that Uncle Luke and 2 Live Crew had to go to federal court to fight a freedom of speech case against the government for trying to ban their music, right? David Banner, he is from those lands of old Mississippians. He looked like he's off of the Chato or Chickasaw line or one of them, but I'm not really sure what his tribal affiliation is. But you got these different artists, right? Like they all telling you in story form what they seeing in their community. They just watchers, right? Yeah, but Uncle Luke was first, and he won, and that's when he came out with the remake of the Bruce Springsteen. I was banned in the USA, right? Then they tried to sue him for the sample. Ain't that something? No, Uncle Luke was ahead of the game. When that happened, he won his case and he got out them people business. He got out them people business because it was the smartest thing to do. Because he seen from fighting the case how they move. And he said, this is not for us. We need to get out of this because this is dangerous because the way they doing us in this industry. That's that old sharecropper agreement applied to arts and entertainment where they steal your intellectual property. And that's what they call selling your soul. It's the product that your soul produce as an intellectual property that they getting you to sell the rights to capitalize on it without you gaining anything from it. Yeah, that Uncle Luke was look, they tried to get Uncle Luke and them 2 Live Crew boys to sign major record deals after the drama went down. But he was like, nah. Yeah, Cube was smart too. And this is what made him, when he left NWA, he went to New York to talk to old heads in the industry. He was out there talking to Chuck D, Professor Griff, Jam Master Jay, Run DMC, guys like that that's been around. He like, I don't know, how am I supposed to make my money with these contracts? And Q knew who to ask what questions in order to get in the position he in today. He didn't just get there by he was just born lucky. He was asking people. He was fighting his battles along the way that was exposing the game. Remember, he went in 91, Ice Cube the one said we reporters. We ain't no different than the news reporter, but we talking to the people in our community about what's going on in our community so that the people in Boston know what's going on in LA and the people in LA know what's going on in New York. Ice Cube said that on the interview. Eazy said it too. Right? So they understood the assignment and they followed it. Who is Garcia, Brandon? Look, they got some new artists coming up. They got some skills. They making good music. I didn't see that fight. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. This live. I think Young Elder gonna probably download it and post it on YouTube for later. Yeah. So let me see what time it is. Yeah. So I'm almost 2 hours in on this. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna close this out. And then I'm going to come back in to do about an hour of call communication. So I'm going to end this now and save it. And y'all come back and catch me. And I'll let people come up and ask questions.